Welcome to a few moments together on the Parsha. This Shabbos we have the privilege of reading Parshas Acharei. Unfortunately, the Parsha begins with the words that Hashem says to Moshe, Acharei shnei b'nei Aharon. After the two sons of Aaron passed away, way back in Parshas Shmini, after the two sons of Aaron passed away, then comes the rest of this week's Sedra. Of course, there's a lot of discussion way back in Shmini as to what the reason was behind the death of Nadav and Avihu, the two sons of Aaron, at the height of the joy of the setting up of the Mishkan. Rashi says that from the juxtaposition of the law of not drinking wine right after their death and telling us that the Kohanim are not allowed to go and do the avoda when they're drinking wine, that the thing that was done wrong by Nadav and Avihu was that they drank wine before they did the avoda. And they shouldn't have. Reb Simcha from Parshas asks a very pointed question. Don't we say that Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha? You're supposed to serve God with joy. And doesn't it also say V'yayin yisamach levav enosh? The pasuk in Tehillim, the David HaMelech said, V'yayin yisamach levav enosh. Wine makes a person happy. So if wine makes a person happy, and the Kohanim are supposed to do the avoda in the Beis HaMikdash with simcha, what's so bad if they have some wine? Why should that be held back from them? Shouldn't they be allowed to drink a little in order to be able to be in a state of simcha and to rejoice? So Reb Simcha Banim so beautifully explains, it's true, wine does add simcha to a person's life, but it's also true that the mitzvos that we have, that the Jewish people have, the mitzvahs themselves give us a sense of happiness. When we fulfill Hashem's will, that in and of itself gives us a certain joy. That's Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. That when we do the mitzvahs, we have joy. And Nadav and Avihu should have been drunk on the happiness that they're fulfilling the mitzvah of not drinking wine, but enjoying the mitzvah themselves and itself, and bringing through the mitzvah itself a sense of joy and happiness. This too is part of the legacy of Klal Yisrael, that we get a certain joy. We feel good when we serve Hashem and do the mitzvah in the proper way, even if that mitzvah, and it's interesting, of course, that the mitzvah that the rest of the Sedra begins to talk about is the mitzvah fasting on Yom Kippur. Even that, when we know that we're doing the mitzvah of Hashem, that gives us a certain happiness, a certain joy. It imbues us with a sense that we are fulfilling Hashem's will, and that gives us an eternal, internal sense of happiness. And that is the simcha that we're supposed to feel, and that Nadav and Avihu should have felt. So there's a tremendous lesson here about the joy we have to feel through being Avdei Hashem, serving Hashem, doing the mitzvahs. It gives the Jew a certain sense of enjoyment. I'm doing the right thing. I'm following Hashem's way. And when I do that, that in and of itself is the greatest simcha of all. And consequently, here we learn the important lesson of getting the enjoyment of the Simcha Shel Mitzvah. Let's all take a look at this week's Sedra, and when it says V'chai B'hem at the end of the Sedra, we think of the life that comes from the enjoyment of doing the mitzvah. Have a wonderful Shabbos, a Shabbos Mevorchim, Hachodesh. Let's enjoy the Simcha Shel Mitzvah. Shabbat Shalom, U'Mevorach.